bigger accelerators than this one. There's a huge accelerator at CERN in France, and there's one that we go to quite a lot in Russia called the Joint Institute of Nuclear Research. Now, in both of those facilities, they've got these huge, very powerful accelerators, and that's where they bombard elements with other elements and try and make new elements by fusing them or by knocking off certain portions of the other element. And that is the way that new elements can be created in these big accelerator systems, and that's called particle physics. Who of you are interested in physics? Quite a few of you, eh? It's a very interesting field. And for a woman, it is actually a perfectly practical field, because you are not having to wield spades and spanners. Huh? You just need to learn how the equipment works, and you need to learn how to detect the particles with the analytical tools that they have here. South Africa can't afford to put these big accelerators in here. That is why they've actually arranged for us to be able to go and work overseas. And if you're interested in particle physics, it's often possible for you to go on training courses to these facilities. Here at iThemba Labs, we have now created a consortium where students from South Africa, when they get to the later years of their degree, are sent to Glen to go and be trained on those accelerator systems. So there's a possibility to go and work overseas, and if you are really interested in that field, one can then go and spend more time in those facilities. Now at Glen, for instance, if you look on here, have a look for Glen. Glen. It's number 268.
Yeah, I just did the game.
Okay. And if you look for fluorovium, that's the one that's not on your periodic table. Those two were made at Glen not so long ago. That is why that one is called Glen. And the element called fluorovium is actually named after the guy who established the laboratory at Glen in Russia. So imagine that, having an element named after you. That's quite something, eh? So some of these elements were made in Russia, the new man-made elements. I'm sorry, I have to use the word man-made, but it's actually synthetic elements. Some of the synthetic elements were made in Russia, some of them were made in the USA, and some of them were made in the Far East, in China. So you can see people are still trying to understand how this periodic table builds up and how the elements can be put together. The trouble with these synthetic elements is that they don't last for a very long time. They're very unstable. You know, gold is very stable. If you get a ring of gold, it will last through your lifetime and your children's lifetime and your children's children's lifetime. It's stable. The metal is stable. It's at its lowest energy state. It is at rest, let's put it that way. Whereas these elements are not stable, and they actually, the minute they're made, they start decaying, just like that radioactive series that I told you about. And one of the things that they're doing at the Joint Institute of Nuclear Research is to try and find out which of these new elements are stable for more than a nanosecond. Some of these materials will only last for a few little nanoseconds, and then they decay. And they're developing what they call islands of stability. They're trying to see which of these elements, the new elements, are actually durable and that can actually exist. I'm not entirely sure why these particles are so unstable, but I would expect it's because of an unbalance between the subatomic particles.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, okay, that's right. There's either an excess of amount of energy that is present inside the particle system or an excess amount of mass. So it's not balanced in the sense where, it still wants to find a resting or a place where
Resting position.
resting position. So either moving around, similar to many planets moving around.
So, when we're talking about new elements, the race for discovery of new elements is still on. It's one of the last frontiers. Have you heard about the race for new frontiers? People are racing to the planets, eh? We have got Elon Musk trying to create colonies on the moon. And we have people diving down into the deepest parts of the ocean to go and learn what's down there. But the subatomic particles are a new frontier. It's an area of research where we still don't know much. And as you can see from looking at this periodic table and that periodic table, we're still learning about it. And I sat in a lecture not so long ago by one of the professors at Dubna, who was talking about subatomic particles. And he was talking about the new particles that they're finding down there. Perhaps you can name them. I don't know them all. They're gluons and flavors and all kinds of weird things as subatomic particles. And I was at a conference at Dubna one year where they were talking about particles that are smaller than the protons and the electrons and the neutrons. You've heard about the protons and the electrons and the neutrons, haven't you?
Yes.
Now they're talking about particles that are smaller than that. And these particles are really weird. For instance, there's a particle called a neutrino, a subatomic particle called a neutrino. And the Swiss team and the Russian team together sat for 12 years to build an instrument that they could actually measure those subatomic particles with. 12 years they built this instrument. And by the time they did the experiment, the only thing that they could say was the neutrino was smaller than 10 to the minus 23. Now just sit there and put a naught down and put a full stop down and put 23 zeros before the 1. Go on, try and do that. Go and see how big that number is. I don't even know if you have space to do it on the bottom of your periodic table. Eh? Ten to the minus 23. 10 to the minus 23. Do you know how to write that?